So, folks, we gotta talk about ICE in Minneapolis. We gotta talk about ICE elsewhere in the country. And we also have to talk about Republicans, and specifically Donald Trump threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act against protesters in Minneapolis and Minnesota generally. For those of you that do not know, it is illegal to use the military in the United States to perform the actions of law enforcement, with the exception of the Insurrection Act, which has historically only been invoked when there is severe unrest in a given state that threatens to topple the state government, or not like in cases of like invasion by a foreign power, etc. This is viewed as essentially the last resort kind of thing, and is constrained largely by tradition and the Constitution. So in this particular case, it does not constrain Donald Trump all that much, a man who does not care about the Constitution nor tradition. And here we have one of his top guys, the Deputy Attorney General and Donald Trump's former personal lawyer. ICE operates in thousands of counties without incident. Men and women doing their jobs, protecting us from criminal aliens. Minnesota insurrection is a direct result of a failed governor and a terrible mayor encouraging violence against law enforcement. It's disgusting. Walls and Fry, I'm focused on stopping you from your terrorism by whatever means necessary. This is not a threat, it's a promise. And this is in response to last night there was an ICE-related shooting. And now that makes it sound like someone shot ICE, which is not, in fact, what happened. ICE got into a chase with a man. That man ran away by car, then ran away by foot, was tackled by an ICE agent. There was a scuffle on the ground. A couple people from a nearby apartment came out to try and stop the scuffle. And the ICE agent panicked and fired, hitting one of them in the leg. And the initially targeted man ran into a house, and we actually have the 911 phone call that man's family put in to the local police because they were terrified of ICE, and this man had just been shot. And ICE is trying to say that this was a coordinated attack by Minnesota protesters. And they were dastardly wielding a shovel and a broom and very dangerous, and therefore the ICE officer had to fire. And I just want to really emphasize here that I did coverage yesterday, specifically on this, for a prolonged period of time. And one of the main takeaways from that coverage is very specifically the statement that Walsh put out on the statewide broadcasting system on the nightly television shows, and also the late night press conference that Jacob Fry and the chief of police locally put out in relation to ICE shooting another person in Minneapolis. And in both of those cases, they heavily emphasized de-escalation, do not be violent, do not get too don't organize protests unlawfully, etc. And my main complaint was that Tim Walz wasn't doing anything to actually even the odds or change the status quo, just basically saying don't get violent, just film them, don't get violent. And we in Minnesota, who are terrified right now of ICE blackbagging our friends and neighbors and family, we need more than just someone wagging their finger at us, telling us we're in an intolerable position, yet tolerate it. There needs to be some kind of help for us. But I want you to understand that part of the calculation here is that they do not want to give Donald Trump an excuse to invoke the Insurrection Act, which would then have ICE agents, for example, bolstered by the US military literally occupying Minnesota. That brings us now, not just from the Deputy Attorney General, but Donald Trump himself putting out this statement earlier today. If the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in that once great state. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. So, they are openly agitating to do the Insurrection Act. This thing has been on Donald Trump's mind for years now. For years. And here are the right-wing influencers who are urging Donald Trump to do the Insurrection Act.
Insurrection Act now or forever hold your peace.
Invoke the Insurrection Act in Minneapolis. I think it's funny until they get caught and spend over 10 years in prison.
If this isn't promoting an armed insurrection, I don't know what is.
Bring in the army and put it down. Invoke the Insurrection Act. See how tough Tim Walsh and see how tough these folks are. Let's roll.
At what point will Trump just do it? Invoke the Insurrection Act.
Libertarian Tim Pool over here, libertarian fence sitter, champing at the bit for a U.S. occupation of a state.
Round these people up.
If he does invoke the Insurrection Act, doesn't that mean that he can send in the National Guard? He is emboldened to do that by law if there's a civil disobedience.
The whole city must be taught a lesson. How much do we have to deal with from these people? They must be punished. It's a city full of overgrown children that won't learn anything unless they're forced to learn it the hard way. Well, it's time for the hard way.
Insurrection.
So I want y'all to know that right now, the major right-wing media machine is calling nonstop for the Insurrection Act to be invoked against the city I live in and the state I live in. And that's where we're at right now today. And I just want to really emphasize here that this is one of the reasons why I'm done with milquetoast Democrats. I'm done with centrists. I'm done with more conservative Dems. I'm done. I'm so over it. Okay? These people are actively agitating for people in my state to be killed by the US military for following ICE around with whistles, trying to make sure they don't violate the law. It is some of the most restrained protests I've ever seen in my life. And they want to send the military in to shoot us, because that's the only reason to send in the military, right? There's no reason to activate the US military and the Insurrection Act unless you intend to kill people. I want to be very clear that after Donald Trump's time is done, after the GOP is out of power, I want to be very clear. I want someone who is going to be ruthless with these people, with conservatives. I want somebody who is going to make this untenable in the future. I want somebody who is going to essentially finish the job of the Reconstruction and make sure that these conservative bastions in the South and these conservative states are made to feel, not the same kind of fear that I'm experiencing, because I would not wish that on anyone. Not the same kind of rage that I am experiencing right now, because I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But I want them to be made crystal clear that this brand of politics that they are peddling, this hatred, this vitriol for their fellow Americans, is going to be something that will lead to them being hounded out of town, right? That there are going to be consequences for this hate-mongering bullshit. That there is going to be consequences for the people in power who are openly calling for their fellow Americans to be executed in the streets. I want there to be a ruthlessness in dealing with conservative politics that dwarfs the ruthlessness with which Donald Trump is trying to treat not just the politics of the left, but the people of the left. I want there to be a ruthlessness and a disregard for conservative politics. And I think that that is necessary if we want to get the things that I've been calling for. Things like prosecution of every ICE agent, the dissolution of ICE, the essentially the denazification of the South. And I do have to unfortunately mean that literally, in the sense that there are open neo-Nazi groups active all across the South. Like, there needs to be a ruthlessness in dealing with these big tech companies that have facilitated the growth of these far-right extremists in the hopes that one day they could be used as far-right militias in the service of, like, our new tech oligarchs. There needs to be a ruthlessness in dealing not just with, like, the vocal apparatus of how the conservative politics are spread, but a ruthlessness in dealing with the actual business that undergirds all of these politics. You know, it should not be possible to be the kind of grifter, the level of grifter that Tim Pool is. It should not be possible to be the kind of grifter that Matt Walsh is, right? These are people who have essentially built minor empires in media, and they then use them to, like, attack minorities and vilify and demonize and spread falsehoods about the left. And I think that there needs to be a concerted effort and a large-scale effort to rein in this particular brand of politics. Because, like, it's not a joking matter anymore. They're now pushing for the Insurrection Act. They're pushing for a hostile takeover. They're pushing for guns to be pointed at and used against their political enemies by the state. And I don't want that to happen to them, but what I do want is for, like, a mass restructuring of what is possible. I want it to become an impossibility that people who peddle lies this egregious could ever become this prominent. And so that's the kind of thing we need, you know? There needs to be a fulfillment of the promise of Lincoln's Reconstruction. And we never got that. You know, I want to remind folks, we never got that because Lincoln was assassinated by these Southern types, these Southern secessionist, like, slavers. And in the wake of that, Reconstruction faltered. And it's why, over time, you know, African-American folks were hounded out of politics and Jim Crow was institutionalized. And we had to have an entire civil rights movement to dismantle many of the mechanisms of Jim Crow. And now the same folks and the same brand of conservative politics is attempting to resurrect Jim Crow under a new name. And our job is to defeat that brand of racist, bullshit conservative politics. And we need to finish the job. We need to finish the job that Lincoln started. And I think that that messaging resonates true. We got to reassert the Reconstruction. Yeah, rebuild the museums, you know, rebuild, like, the curriculums of schools across the South. Because we all know the textbooks in schools in southern states, they talk about how, like, oh, well, you know, maybe the Civil War wasn't really about slavery. It was about states' rights. It's all obfuscated. People in that public education system, they're taught wrong almost as some kind of sick joke. And it's time that we finish the promise of Lincoln. So, all that being said, I do want to, like, we're going to keep going here, but, like, I just want to make it clear where I stand. Because I'm mad as hell. I'm mad as hell in a way none of these bitches in conservative media could possibly achieve, because all of them are liars and grifters and thieves who believe nothing and will say anything for a paycheck, either from their, you know, their audiences who are made up of racists and neo-Nazis and eugenicists, or for their big money donors who are also racists and thieves and eugenicists and bigots and Nazis. And so we have to win this. And when we win, we need to win hard. But, of course, it continues to go. Life goes on. Here's what they're currently going for right now.
Will it lead to more deadly killings in Minnesota if the Insurrection Act is invoked?
If anything doesn't change with Governor Walsh, I don't anticipate that the streets will get any safer or more peaceful. Governor Walsh and his leadership team need to come to us and find out how we can work together like we have in many other states. We didn't see this kind of reaction in Louisiana when we ran our operations, exactly how we are running them in Minneapolis. But we had a very different response because we had leaders that were working with us. If you saw our operations in Florida, extremely successful. In Minneapolis so far, we brought hundreds of criminals off the streets that were dangerous.
I'm sorry, you can't call them criminals. They haven't gotten a trial. And they're not going to get one. Because ICE does not put people on trial. It operates in an extrajudicial fashion. They make arrests and then they wind up having to release the vast majority of the people that they have rounded up. Because what they're doing right now, despite the Chiron here, is not targeted enforcement. They've been scooping up like queer people, they've been scooping up indigenous people, they've been scooping up, black people, they've been scooping up Somali people, they've been scooping up Hispanic people, they've been scooping up every damn person. There is no working with this. There is no targeting of like people here. They're going door to door in some cases and asking folks, do you know where your Hmong neighbors live? And when they get like stonewalled by people, then they change tactic and they're like, do you know where the Asians on your block live? That's what's happening here right now. They're going door to door asking if you know where the minorities are so that they can target them. And, maybe that flies. I don't know. I don't live in Louisiana. I don't live in Florida. Maybe that kind of stuff flies in those states. And people are just happy to rat out where their minority neighbors live. But here in Minnesota, it does not fly. We do not appreciate it. And we want these federal agents to get the fuck out and stop interrogating us if we know where our non-white neighbors are. Get the fuck out. Leave us alone.
Dangerous to society and dangerous to that community. We would wish that Governor Walsh could take an example from the governor of Louisiana, the governor of Florida, and work with us to do the right thing for his people.
Impeach Kristi Noem like yesterday. The fact that there are some Democrats who are resistant to calls to impeach Kristi Noem at this late hour as she personally orders people disappeared off the street. Like, my God, they beat like a 17-year-old kid. They're showing up at preschools and driving around them, taunting the parents who have shown up to protect the kids in the preschool. People are scared to go outside. People are scared to go get groceries. People are scared to just like walk down the street. That's what it's like here right now. There are checkpoints on the highways. They're pulling over anyone that they can tell is non-white by looking through their windows. Anyone who has the like stickers on their car that indicate they might be on the left, they are targeting anybody that they perceive as their political opponents. Yeah, Pika Hudsonia, like, I cried with my partner today because my partner has to go to work in a particularly ICE-ridden spot of the city. And it's terrifying. It is terrifying to not know whether or not she'll be coming home after work. Her dad called today to say that he was going to take her to work and pick her up tomorrow because ICE is looking for couples that look like us. And that me driving her to work or picking her up from work would put both of us at greater risk. And so he's going to do it. That's how it is right now in this city. And I am so fucking mad. I am so fucking mad. You should be mad at people like Riverboat Jack for spreading nothing but hyperbole and fear-mongering. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, buddy. They're abducting indigenous people off the street. They're abducting Hispanic people off the street. They beat up a fucking child. They're harassing schools. They abducted a special ed teacher. I'm not being hyperbolic here, folks. Here's the Minneapolis Council President, Elliot Payne, speaking in session earlier today.
I don't think I have the voice left to read this resolution fully. I've lost my voice screaming at fascists and getting gassed. So it's been printed out for my colleagues to read. It would go into the public record. It's just acknowledging the horrendous conditions that ICE is putting our city through, our residents through. Not just our immigrant residents, not just our undocumented residents. Every single resident of the city of Minneapolis is getting punished and brutalized because of who we are. And I am proud of who we are. And I am not scared of this government. And I want to say that loudly and clearly. I don't think I have the voice.
It is not me peddling hyperbole. It is not me peddling fear. I am telling you guys how it is in this city right now. And if you are here and you don't see it, it's because you have your head so far up your ass that it is somehow entangled in the gas, like the stomach acids, and it's burned out your eyes. You know, like you just aren't capable of even perceiving what's happening around you. Okay? Like, it is beyond the pale. Here is an example of what I'm talking about.
You may have also seen or heard from a Minneapolis family who was there in their vehicle during some of this chaos. A couple and their 6 children, ages 11 years old all the way down to 6 months. They were there and they wanted to share some of what happened to them last night. We spoke with them a little bit this morning, last night, and then this morning on the phone. The father spoke with us on scene after emergency responders were able to take his children to the hospital. So we wanted to play you for.
By the way, they had to take his 6 kids to the hospital, not because of anything protesters did, but because ICE fired 3 whole grenades near his car.
First, a little bit of last night's scene before we bring them in for a conversation.
Officers threw flashbangs and tear gas in my car and made I got 6 kids in the car. But my 6-month-old can't even breathe. My 2-year-old flipped out the damn car. This was flipped over. My car filled with tear gas. I'm trying to pull my kid out the car.
Sean Jackson and Destiny Jackson join us now. He was the gentleman we spoke with last night.
This couple loaded up all of their kids into the car because they wanted to get out of the area of where ICE was operating. And ICE saw a bunch of people getting into this car and shot grenades at them. Like, I want to remind folks that flashbang grenades burn hotter than the temperature of lava. Just as an FYI, they have been known to burn people to death.
And Destiny was there in the vehicle as well. Thank you guys for joining us today to talk through what happened last night. We appreciate it. Destiny, when we talked to you this morning, you were saying that your family lives just a few minutes away from where this happened in the Hawthorne neighborhood. Can we first kind of step back and tell us about what was happening? You know, how did you end up in that neighborhood?
Well, I live in the neighborhood. I had just left South Minneapolis from attending my oldest child's basketball game at Anderson Middle School. And on the way home, we stopped at our neighborhood grocery store to get dinner, actually. And we continued our path home, which happens to be like the way through the protest. We weren't aware that a protest was happening. And once we got that way, we did see lights and stuff, and we continued our path to go home because it wasn't blocked off or anything. And in the mix of passing it, my husband stopped, and asked what was going on and stuff like that. And there was people there, like, just explaining to him what happened.
And Sean, tell me a little bit about how your family's doing today. We understand that.
Why are protesters so disproportionately homosexuals and atheists? If you think that, you have not been to a protest.
I don't know how many of the children went to the hospital last night. Tell us about that.
3 of the children went to the hospital just from, of course, my infant baby, because he did stop breathing and I had to give him mouth-to-mouth and CPR to bring him back. And then my 11...
They had to give a 6-month-old mouth-to-mouth in order to resuscitate their baby because ice gassed him.
Year-old and my 7-year-old who has asthma, so they had to be treated. And there was me and the father who had to be treated also.
Tell me a little bit about, because
you do not have a working pair of eyeballs and you don't live in reality. You haven't been out to these protests and you're a lying sack of shit. You would never fucking go to any of these protests because you're a coward and a bigot and you don't understand what you're talking about. So you hide behind your, Richard Hardy bunch of numbers. And you don't have the guts to actually stand up for anything you believe in, except maybe when you put on a goddamn Klan hood. Get the fuck out of here and leave my fucking state alone, you piece of shit. I can see you're not a biological woman. I can see you're not a biological man. Fuck, man. Jesus. We got ourselves at least a biological bitch here.
People, I think, want to know, obviously you were on your way home, you said, from this game. What made you want to get out and stop and kind of, not just keep going? What were you guys what was the conversation had in the vehicle?
Well, after we had stopped and he had...
I'm sorry, I have very little patience today for people who are so busy sucking fascist dick. I don't know, they come in here, why are so many protesters homosexuals and atheists? While they are busy sucking the biggest fascist cock imaginable. I don't know. I know a lot of gay people, but let me tell you something. Nothing is gayer than, a fascist deep-throating the dick of the state. They just can't get enough of, the fascists gassing neighborhoods and flashbanging children. Jesus.
That's what was going on. I don't know. Why are the gays and atheists so concerned about children being gassed and potentially burned alive by ICE agents for no reason? Man, I don't know, bud. How'd you feel if a car full of children almost got killed, in your neighborhood? Would you think that's cool? Would you think it's really awesome if a bunch of children in a van that were trying to drive away from ICE got shot with grenades? Do you think that's fun and awesome? If your answer is yes, then I got no time for you. That's clearly just an ideological difference that we are never going to bridge, because I think that it is my moral obligation to fight people like you. It is my moral obligation and duty to fight people who are in favor of gassing and shooting children with every ounce of strength in my body until I die. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And I'm not going to be nice to people who are saying that children should be gassed and shot. And if your position is, the people who oppose that are mostly gays and atheists, man, what an indictment on the straights and the communities of believers out there. I don't agree with that assessment, by the way, but that's how fascists try and attribute what's happening here. What a fucking cell phone. In the mix of all of that, I seen my mother. Now, I wanted to get her out of there before anything did happen, because as we were going through, it was not violent. We were able to pass through. And I seen her. She recently got a congestion.
Oh man, we got Bulk Broman 88. See, I start talking about how gassing communities is bad, and it brings out the Nazis who are just they want to front about being big man. I'm bulk bro, man. Yeah, trust me, bro. I'm huge. I'm totally jacked. I'm not actually just a 13-year-old child with a hate boner. No. Trust me, bro. I'm huge. Anyway, I need to take a break from typing so I can gargle Hitler's decrepit, dusty balls. Fucking losers, man.
The heart failure diagnosis yesterday morning, so I just wanted her just not to be there because I didn't know if it was going to be violent or not. It took a couple, maybe 20 to 30 minutes to get her up out of there, because how she felt so deeply about what happened. And so as we were leaving, actually, ICE were coming our way in vehicles. And a couple of them proceeded to start screaming in my window. And they were saying, get out of here, get the F out of here. And we were telling them, if you guys will move away from our car, we can get up out of here, which is what we're trying to do. You guys are in the way. We know what happened when when Renee tried to move, get out the way. You guys said that he hit you when she didn't.
Just incredible. This lady standing up to a bunch of armed guys outside of her car, and she's just like, you shot a woman in the face a week ago for trying to drive around you guys. I need better protections for my babies than that. We can't get out of the way of our cars so that we can leave with our children.
So he didn't want to move the car. He wanted to wait for them to move. And as they proceeded to move past the car, once they got to the back of the car, they rolled a tear gas bomb under the car.
Mm. How quickly can you characterize?
Yeah, I want to be clear here. This wasn't an accident, oh, well, there's no way we could have predicted that a grenade would be near that car. They specifically rolled a tear gas grenade underneath their car. They specifically choked out a 6-month-old baby.
How quickly this escalated? How long were you there? Did you sense things were starting to turn? Were there opportunities to try to leave before it escalated?
We did sense things were trying to take a turn for the worse. When, in the mix of us being there with those 20 minutes, Minneapolis Police Department was dismissed. ICE agents took over everything, and a couple minutes after that, we seen people with yellow vests or jackets coming up behind ICE agents, and that's when everybody was starting to disperse. And so we were in the car, trying to get out, watching that happen, but ICE was blocking our exit.
Mm. Did you see any Minneapolis police say that turned violent, and that there were people who were throwing rocks and ice chunks at the agents, things like that? Did you see anything like that?
In the midst of all that happening, there were a lot of explosive stuff going off. Not sure if it was coming from the ICE agents or if it was coming from protesters. But I did not physically see any protesters. I didn't see them throw anything at ICE agents.
And tell me, so there was hospitalization here. Tell me about sort of any injuries or what happened to the children. And you said, when I talked to you earlier, 11 years old is the oldest, and then six months is the youngest.
Jesus, they have 6 kids, and 11 years old is the oldest one in that family. Oh my God. Like a car full of babies. Youngest was 6 months, oldest was 11. Jesus, they saw a car full of babies and they decided to gas them. Every single one of the kids in that car had to go to the hospital because they couldn't breathe. This is what ICE stands for, folks.
Right, and then you've got some twins, 4-year-olds. But so there's children in the car. Tell me about what happened, kind of to them.
When we did finally get out the car, of course my baby was lifeless, so I did do the CPR and mouth to mouth, and there was multiple people in the house who were pouring milk all over my other kid's face and trying to get the tear gas off of them. There were also other people in the house who were on the phone with EMS trying to get them to get there as soon as possible. There was also someone else on the phone giving me directions on what to do. So there was a lot of people from the community were there trying to help us in that situation.
Have you guys been out protesting before, or do you plan to go out in the future?
No, we have never been out protesting before. Of course we have reason to, because everybody, we need to stand up for our community. But it was our first time, as we weren't really there protesting. But I did answer a few questions while I was out there, so I guess you can say I was, if you want to. But really, I'm traumatized. I really don't want to. But with this happening to my family, it gives me the drive to do so, because it's just crazy. Like, my kids were innocent. I was innocent. My husband was innocent. This shouldn't have happened. We were just trying to go home.
And and we talked about this earlier, and in all fairness, just gotta kind of reiterate this question, because people are going to say, well, you were there, you stopped. What would you say to them? You got your kids there, why not kind of just get your mom and keep going? Or what would you say to them?
I tried to, and I was determined to get her out. And I did not want to leave without her, because what happened to us could have happened to her too, which she was a few feet away from my car when it happened. As she was walking to her car, our car went up, And so all I would say is, like, you can't, even, we're innocent, like, we didn't deserve that. We were passing through, and we were just trying to protect another family member.
Do you think people have an idea of what it's like to be kind of going down there and in those situations, how quickly things can turn? I mean, we see it on TV, those who have not been there in person.
What are we doing here? Like, I understand that this is Fox, and like,
what would you say to people who are thinking, I want to go down there, I want to protest, I want to, exercise?
Because who was keeping them from going home in this story, in this situation? Because the chyron here is family with young children trapped amid protest clash. The protesters weren't stopping them from going home. ICE was stopping them from going home. ICE were the ones in front of their vehicle. ICE were the ones who rolled the, tear gas under their car to gas their kids. That wasn't the protesters. Like, we're getting closer to understanding that the ICE occupation is evil in, like, local media, but even, like, the framing of this is deeply suspect, as they are doing a very important interview.
Exercise my First Amendment rights. And we're talking to the people who are not trying to be agitators, the people who are really just trying to exercise their First Amendment rights legally. What would you say to them about kind of what happened to you last night? Is there anything you would do differently? What would be your...
Yeah, where all those outside agitators coming in. The outside agitators are ICE. They're coming from, like, fucking Texas to, like, gas kids. Like, they're actively being recruited from white nationalist communities. I have not seen these so-called outside agitator protesters anywhere. I haven't seen, like, I've been watching a whole lot of protest footage here, and I have not been seeing these bad actors from out of town. I have seen ICE protecting far-right agitators who are pro-ICE. Yeah. They're all looking for a reaction so that they can give their big daddy in the White House an excuse to do the Insurrection Act. That's kind of the game plan right now.
Your message?
I would say be safe, have an exit plan, pay attention to their body language, pay attention to your surroundings, because it all can turn really fast and you never know.
All right, Destiny and Sean Jackson, thanks for spending some time with us and telling us a little bit more about your experience.
The fact that they are able to keep it together after one of their kids was almost killed by that gas grenade and the rest needed to go to the hospital, like, props to them for being able to hold it together. I don't think I would have been able to do that. I don't think I would have been able to do that. And folks, I do want to say that, again, there is going to be a white nationalist far-right rally on Saturday, Cedar Riverside. It's a group called Christian Crusaders. They've been celebrating over on X about it. We want our country back. Christian Crusaders. We have permitted approval for the Minneapolis City Hall Rotunda. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Fire Tim Walsh, fire Jacob Fry, fire Ilhan Sharia Law Omar, take back Minnesota from the Somali pirates.
Door to door, don't stop. Every Walmart parking lot, every Home Depot where the illegals congregate, send them all back. We want our country back. We want migrants. Our country is going to stand for another 250 years of beautiful freedom.
So, yeah, expect heavy white supremacist presence on the 17th. Again, they're going to be looking to agitate. They're going to be looking to start some kind of riot. You know, don't fucking give it to them, folks, because they are absolutely planning as a point of strategy getting U.S. military sent here to help ICE do their ungodly, violent work. Just absolutely heinous. But Christian Crusaders, by the way, I looked into this group. It appears to be like a far-right conservative Christian group founded by a street preacher that is local to Minneapolis. They are going to be like bringing people from all over in order to try and make something happen for their, fascist wet dreams. I just want folks to be aware that that is in the works and to act accordingly. But you know what? Maybe it's all just a distraction from the rampant fraud that Nick Shirley uncovered. Let's check in with Fox News over with Jim Jordan, a man who helped cover for the sexual abuse of students at the school he taught at, or coached at, maybe.
Right, the people in Minneapolis and in Minnesota are trying to distract from the 10, 12-year, in some cases 15-year fraud scams that were going on, where they said they were feeding kids, giving meals to children, when in fact they weren't. They were just sticking money in their pocket and a host of other things. So I think that's...
Man, I love that every single conservative on this issue is like, yeah, they were doing this scam for like 10, 15, 20 years, 100 years. These Somali fraudsters have been doing it for like 100 years. And it's like, bro, the only reason you are able to talk about one of these fraud scams is because there was one, and all of the people were caught and are currently being prosecuted for it. Like they're currently being prosecuted. And all of the other fraud scams are bullshit drummed up by goddamn racists. But again, conservatives have been disconnected from reality. We covered how Candace Owens was talking about how Charlie Kirk was a time-traveling messiah earlier. Like, the conservatives have just been completely disconnected from reality. And they love it. They love not having to actually know anything and being able to just say whatever the fuck they want, regardless of whether it's true. They don't have to do the extra work of actually like having true or accurate information. It's nuts, guys. Like, what is happening here is nuts. And I'm going to try and break a little bit of levity here because God knows this entire situation is horrible. But I do have to say, I appreciate the bravery of white women in the face of ICE. I appreciate it. Check this absolute queen out.
Hey fam, I was in Minneapolis and look, we just stumbled upon Greg Bovino at a fucking Speedway for a pre-Hague photo shoot. So good for him, I guess. For those following along at home, I have nothing against short men, but I do just have to report back there is about a 4-inch height difference. Do you want to get closer so they can see?
Oh no, a little higher there for you.
Still not the same. So Greg, you're standing right there in front of me, but to everyone following along at home, I hope you fucking eat shit. I hope this keeps you up at night for the rest of your life, and no one fucking wants you here. Oh, fantastic language. There's children in here in your fucking vehicle, asshole. Choke.
Oh, what's your language? Like, again, these assholes will be like, you're saying swear words as they, like, beat up actual children. Like, think of the poor kids in their ears as they break the bones of an actual child. Think of, but like, the children's delicate ears as they gas a van full of kids. Like, again, the fucking language and tone police that conservatives put out there in order to, like, finger wag at, like, anyone on the left who's like insulting these clowns who are abducting folks. I don't know. I think insulting them is the very least form of like resisting them. And conservatives will cry all day, every day about someone dropping the F-bomb. You guys have seen it just in this stream alone. Jesus Christ. Anyway, here's just another little thing. I do have to say, one of the things that I am appreciating is that a lot of people are really scared and they're really angry, and the anger is winning out. And also, no one is scared of these individual ICE agents. And here's just a fun little video here of some folks clowning on an ICE agent.
Shut up, bitch ass nigga. Go ahead, have that badge on my beat your ass. Take your shit and pop you with it, nigga. We do that shit. Nigga, bitch. Stop being scared of me, nigga. I'm talking. Bitch ass nigga. Touch your gun. Touch it, little bitch. You a bitch. Like I said, what you gonna do? Do it. Pull it out. Pull it out. I don't give a fuck. Pull it out, nigga. You see the demon in me, bitch. Pull it out. Pull it out while my arm. Do it. Do it. Get in your car, nigga. Get in your car. What you saying? What's up? You still? Yeah. Stop touching me. Stop touching me. Nigga, what the fuck is you gonna do? What is you gonna do? Yeah, don't waste no time dying on me. I'm telling you. Because we all got shots. What's up? What's up? We all got shots. Scary ass nigga. I'll put that K on you bitch ass niggas. Fuck wrong with y'all? Y'all niggas is bitches. Y'all niggas is bitches. Certified bitch niggas. Certified bitch made. Fuck wrong with y'all? Pull y'all heat out while y'all pull off. Fuck wrong with y'all?
The amount of rage that is happening and the lack of fucks that people have to give at this point, like, a lot of folks are where that guy's at. You know? Like, just like, I do not give a fuck. Get the fuck out of here. Like, like folks are ready to throw the fuck down. I mean, like, guys.
Take off your mask. Fat. Out of here, you fat little.
Un-American pieces of
Cowards. Nazi piece of
One thing that I love about this clip in particular is that they are getting run out of this goddamn sports bar by a bunch of white, like a bunch of just like white folks. You know, like, these guys came in here thinking that they were going to be safe because it was like a sports bar in Minnesota. Well, they're not going to say shit. They're on our side, guys. And nah, get the fuck out. Un-American pieces of shit. You know? This is only good, by the way, going to escalate. They want to surge more and more ICE into this state. People are going to get angrier and angrier. And it's breaking through in a way that, like, a lot of folks can't even comprehend. And I do want to say shout out to some of the folks showing up at the Whipple Federal Building lately who, in the sub-zero temperatures, have been pouring water on the entry and exit way of the Whipple Building, where the ICE agents like to storm out in force in order to, try and brutalize some protesters over there. And that water is turning into ice, and it turns out ICE can't deal with ice very well. Just whoa. Like, one of them, like, their gun hits the ground and breaks. Like, get fucked, you slip and sliding bitches. The creativity and tactics for protesting is very, very funny. And I do want to say and emphasize, all these fuckers from out of state, they have no idea how to stand on ice. It's very funny. Irony is dead when you can't even make a cartoon of that without being literal, right? God, it's wild. And I do want to say, while a lot of the folks at the, at the mayor on up have failed the people of Minneapolis, but we have folks like Jason Chavez in Minneapolis who is like fighting the good fight. One of the Minneapolis City Council members from Ward 9 putting out an excellent proposal that I believe is now going to the governor's desk. So if Tim Walz is actually serious about helping people as ICE continues its crackdown, this would be it. But here we have Jason Chavez.
Folks don't want to go outside and have to pray that they're not going to get stopped by ICE. When I ask my neighbors to stay home, to shelter in place, the number one thing they ask me is saying, Jason, why am I going to stay home? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to afford the groceries? How are you expecting me to change my whole life to then eventually get kicked out of my rental unit? It's not normal to be in this country and to literally have your family torn apart just because of the color of your skin, because that is actually what is happening here in Minneapolis and in this state. The color of your skin is what is being targeted by the federal immigration authorities. One of the things that we need to do and need to figure out is how do we address the symptoms of what is happening in this country. So ICE is literally following vehicles, breaking down windows, stopping people on highways on their way to work, on their way to dropping off their kids to school, at daycares, and tearing them out of their cars. That is one of the number one ways that they are doing this work today. So how do we help address that issue? We help people stay at home. We have to call for an eviction moratorium, and in the city of Minneapolis, we need to do what we can to make sure that people can shelter in place at home because they are safer at home. Folks?
So the Minneapolis City Council did put together an eviction moratorium proposal, and it is going to the desk of Tim Walz, and I sincerely hope that he signs it so that folks in Minneapolis, at the very least, can shelter in place without fear that they're going to be evicted from their apartments. This is a pretty big deal. It would help a lot of people who would otherwise feel extremely afraid, going to work, trying to deal with childcare, etc. And this is actually something that can move the needle and help. It's the first thing that I have seen since this all started that would actually help some people. I just want to say all respect to Jason Chavez. Wonderful work. Okay? Wonderful work. And I'm seeing, like, girly girl, I understand that you are in a bad situation right now. If you need to, please step away from the stream. But if this stream is becoming a source of, damage to your mental health, like, let us know if you want to be, like, temporarily, like, banned or, like, temporarily, like, timed out so that, like, you can, like, not watch this. Because this, like, I'm not gonna lie, living in this fucking sucks, and I'm really angry and I'm really upset. You do not have to subject yourself to this if you are in the middle of a mental health crisis. Yeah, if you're in the hospital, like, turn off this stream. Like, you do not have to watch this right now. Your main concern is feeling better and getting better. Okay? Also, yes, update from Jason Chavez. City Council also voting on an ordinance should the governor call a state of emergency. A ton of City Council members were opposed to the resolution until the public showed up today and emailed in large numbers. The fight isn't over. Ask your electeds to vote for the ordinance and to do more. Because, again, a lot of local politicians want to do the safe thing. And to a lot of them, it feels like reacting to ICE presence might not be the safe thing. After all, perhaps some of their conservative constituents want the ICE there. But when you start getting loud, if you are angry, get loud in your community. Get organized in your community. And put pressure on your immediate elected officials, because it has a real effect. Okay? It has a real effect. And I do want to emphasize here, the moratorium on evictions that Minneapolis voted for and sent to the governor would be a statewide moratorium. It wouldn't just be for the city of Minneapolis, it would be for the entire state of Minnesota. No one in the state of Minnesota, as long as ICE is occupying here, could be evicted, which would be extremely good movement. Okay? Again, one of the few proposals I've seen that is legitimately very helpful, and I hope Tim Walz rises to the moment. Now, I do have an update on a story I've talked about over the last few days here in Minnesota, which is multiple members of the Oglala Sioux Nation being abducted and disappeared by ICE. And here is the Star Tribune interviewing like the head of the Oglala Sioux Nation. Let's see what he has to say here.
And one of them has been released, but they couldn't locate the other three. So the council members here, they're all elected officials of the Oglala Sioux tribe, and they gained access to the facility, and they couldn't find their three tribal members. They claim that they're not classifying them by their nationality, which tribal members are also citizens of the United States since 1924. You know, there's nobody more American than American Indians. But they were unable to find them here today. And so they're going to continue on. They don't understand that we are America. How could you possibly target Native Americans and with immigration and customs enforcement officers and then imprison us? That is impossible. It's legally impossible to do that.
Okay. So the Star Tribune had an interesting update to this story as well here. Oglala Sioux president walks back claims of DHS pressure member arrests, which I don't know if that's actually like substantiated by the reporting here. President of the Oglala Sioux tribe has walked back claims he made in a memo and press release earlier this week that immigration enforcement arrested 4 tribal members and that the federal government tried to extract an immigration agreement out of the tribe in return for information about their members' whereabouts. The United States Department of Homeland Security said it can't verify claims that any of their officers arrested or even encountered members of the Oglala Sioux tribe or found anyone in the detention centers claiming to be a tribal member. They denied asking the tribe for any kind of agreement. Tribal President Frank Starr comes out, has not responded to repeated requests for comment, including after his updated memo was released on Thursday. The accusations of arrest came at a time when many Native Americans were already concerned of the Trump administration's immigration enforcement agenda and racial profiling by federal agents ensnaring them as well. In a message on Facebook, Starr comes out said that the men were arrested in Minneapolis, where ICE had launched its biggest operation ever and is increasingly clashing with protesters. When the tribe reached out for information about the arrests, federal officials told us that the tribe could access this information if we entered an immigration agreement with the U.S. ICE and U.S. Department of Homeland Security. But in the memo updated on Thursday, Starr comes out, said his earlier statement had been misinterpreted and that there was no such demand from federal officials. He said the tribe had been in cooperative communications with federal officials about the issue, and that federal officials had said that one option for the tribe to have easier access to information is to enter an immigration agreement with ICE. He did not specify what type of agreement. So I don't know that this is necessarily at all walking this back, because they have definitely still have picked up multiple Oglala Sioux tribe members in the area. We know they have 3. All right. The issue is ICE doesn't know where they are and is saying, "Oh, we don't even think we picked any of them up." But we know that they did. And they're trying, like, when the Star Tribune here is saying, "Oh, well, he's walking it back because, they didn't say you had to sign an agreement with ICE, an immigration agreement." But then why would they say it would be easier to get information if an immigration agreement was signed? That doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, like this is still very much kind of substantiating what they said. And my interpretation of the new, the updated version from Starr comes out is that he has now made contact with some federal officials and is trying to kind of soften the relations there and like make it easier to interact with those federal officials in order to try and get information about his people. I don't interpret that as like, oh, he's walking it back. I don't interpret it that way at all. But so the update is they still cannot locate 3 of the 4 people who were picked up. One of them has been released. The other 3 are still somewhere in detention, but unknown to ICE, allegedly. ICE did say they would be able to get more information somehow if the Oglala Sioux entered into an immigration agreement. But what that would even look like is absolutely beyond me. You know? Yeah, it's deeply, deeply messed up. Deeply messed up. And I like, if you're trying to say like, oh, ICE isn't terrorizing people, they're just going after the bad ones. I just gotta tell you, that's not the case. They're just going after any damn buddy. Like, they're rolling up, you know, how deep is this stack? 1, 2, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people here to point guns at a lady in scrubs minding her business in her home. That's like the state of what's happening right now in the Twin Cities. And in case you're like, well, ICE is there to go after the bad guys. They're not there to do like evil. This is from earlier today, folks. Following Renee Good's killing, her son's Minneapolis charter school receives right-wing attacks. With around 30 students enrolled, Southside Family Charter School switched to online learning after conservative news articles and social media posts seized upon the school's social justice focus. The small Minneapolis charter school where Renee Good sent her 6-year-old son has switched to online learning out of safety concerns after receiving multiple phone and email threats, the school told Sahan Journal. The people, I want you guys to understand, the kinds of conservatives that come into my chat to like talk about how ICE is great, the kinds of conservatives that are like showing up to like talk about how like, oh, what have Somalis ever contributed to society? You know, the people that I chew up in chat and spit out like the garbage they are, they're the ones who send this kind of shit. They're the ones who get online and they write a little bomb threat. They call in with like their voice changer and like talk about how they're going to shoot up the school. When they see that ICE is rolling a canister of gas underneath a family of 6, with the oldest being 11 years old and the youngest being 6 months old, they cheer that shit because they like it. They like and delight in evil. This is what conservatives stand for right now. And if you are a conservative and you're like, well, I don't stand for that, well, then you need to get on the right side of the line. You need to get on the right side of the line. You need to stop supporting this administration, stop supporting any of these currently elected folks, and you need to get yourself right. Because if you're not on the right side of the line, I can tell you this much, you are not on the right side of God. Like, these people are fucking evil. WWJD, what would Jesus do? Well, obviously he would call in a bomb threat to this school of 30 children. They did that in the Bible. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get on the right side of history. You know, like, fuck, man.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, dating, plenty more. Her sense of fashion, you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.